Let's roll. In-game live has begun. I'm Gabriel Morency on the SportsGrid television network. I would say we're set to begin Mexico and Ecuador, a game that we've really been looking forward to, a game that I think, the entire football world's been looking forward to, especially the South American football world's been looking forward to. And, good things come to those who wait, and we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. There's lightning in the area, thunderstorms, rain in the Mexico City area, and they have officially announced now that the game will start at 10 o'clock Eastern. So we are officially 59 minutes away from kickoff, and I still don't know if we have enough time to go over all of my best bets, actually, because we're ending the day with a bang here. It's like Sunday Night Football or something like that. It's the last game of the day. I actually do like this game. I like the fact that the projected score is supposed to be so low that there's opportunities for props here across the board. So we'll go over all the numbers, and we'll bring Tom Vecchio in. But just for the record, these two teams, unlike France and Sweden, who we saw a couple hours ago, we were with you for that match, and those two teams, you figure, all right, they must play each other sometimes. They hadn't played each other in 6 years. The last time those two teams played was 2020. Mexico and Ecuador's pass cross all the time. All right, they played in 2025. It was a friendly. It was a 1-1 final score. The last time they played it mattered was the Copa America in 2024. It was a 0-0 score. They played in 2022. It was a friendly. It was a 0-0 score. You get the pattern here. These two teams, the last 3 times they played, they have tied. It's been a draw the last 3 times, Tom. And goals, look, they've scored a combined 2 goals in the 3 games that they played, one of them being a friendly. You look at Mexico's dominance in the group stage, they didn't concede a single goal, guys. They outscored their opponents 6-0, dominant performance. Ecuador scored 3 goals. They gave up 2. They gave up 1 to the Ivory Coast in the 90th minute of the match, their first game. And then they gave up the early one to Germany. They came back. They beat Germany 2-1 to get here right now. But we're talking about a team that only gave up 5 goals in qualifying to get here. We've been looking forward to this match all day. And listen, Ecuador are in tough, guys, and you want a home field advantage, Tom? How about this? Mexico have only lost twice. They've lost 2 official matches at Estadio Azteca since 1966. They're undefeated in their last 24 games in this stadium tonight, Tom.
Absolutely unbelievable, all this. And yes, as you said, we have to wait a little bit longer, but this does not set up to be a high-scoring match. And ultimately, it's going to bring an entirely different level of excitement, despite the fact that we may see it end 1-0, which would be absolutely fantastic to see. We talked about some exact score outcomes at the end of the France-Sweden match as we were kind of closing things up, where you can get Mexico to win 1-0 at plus 410, plus 420, somewhere around there. I'm looking at Mexico on the money line. We're looking at corners, we're looking at fouls, whatever it is. So we actually have more time to get into some of the nitty-gritty details, which is not something that we always have because the games are normally starting right on the dot at 9 o'clock. But we have an hour lead up to this game. There's a ton to get into. Mexico's dominance at home specifically is something that I've always liked to look at just because they are so good, A, at home because of the crowd, and B, because of the elevation. But to your point, Ecuador is also somewhat acclimated to the elevation just based on where they play. So this sets up to be what could be the round of 32 match, really what we're going to be having a little bit later tonight.
Oh, it really is just, the storylines, the back storylines, the crowd, the complaints from Ecuador, the official complaints about the noise last night, and you just can't top the pageantry of Azteca Stadium, arguably the most famous stadium in the world, the cathedral, so to speak, of soccer. But we often see this, right, guys? And we talked about this earlier, Tom. I mean, you get this massive, everybody doesn't think there's going to be goals. A lot of people actually wouldn't be shocked if it was scoreless, including myself. But all it takes is one. And then once one team scores in a knockout game, guys, the other team needs to press. They need the goal. So, things can blow up in a hurry when you bet both teams to score no, when you bet an under 1.5. We're walking a tightrope tonight in this game, Tom, with the totals being as low as they are. Let's call it out for what it is. It's a tightrope.
It really is, and this is a spot that we make references to other sports where you can be really right about a lot of things. If this game does end 1-0 and we get to extra time and it's 0-0, you could be right about both teams to score. No, you have the draw in play, you have the under 2.5, the under 1.5, you have all these sorts of things, or that goes the opposite way and it's 1-1 when it comes to, or 2-1 final, whatever it might be. You get a penalty. You've alluded to it in the preview when we were talking about France. We were doing France Sweden. We were talking about these teams don't like each other. To see an extra card or a penalty kick, I don't think that'd be too surprising. All of a sudden, a 1-0 game turns to 2-0 and it blows all these things up. So it's one of those games where the pendulum can swing one way and you are really right about 5, 6, 7 different props, or you're going to be really wrong just because things kind of get out of control early.
Or also, you can be really right for like 78 minutes, and then everything can fall apart. Like I said, it's a real tightrope. And listen, as far as the cards is concerned, it's 3.5, guys, and normally it's 2.5. It was 3.5 in the group stage. They were losing all the time. We were smashing the unders. They made it 2.5 for the knockout stage for the most part. This one's 3.5 just because of the reputation and sort of the expected sort of animosity here. But anybody who's watching these games, we've seen you really, really, really have to earn your yellow card. Like point blank. Like they're not calling yellow cards. We saw earlier today the Sweden-France game wasn't an all-out bloodbath or anything like that, but they didn't call any yellow cards. Norway and the Ivory Coast actually was pretty physical. No cards. There might have been one, but I don't even think there was one. They're letting them play a lot, so I think they're going to let them play tonight. If they start to murder each other, then the refs will step in. But I'm expecting I got to roll the dice. And one thing I'm doing tonight, Tom, I have a lot of plays, but they're all plus money. And when you're dealing with plus money options, I don't need to win them all. And I'll sort of throw one out here right now, guys. It's predictable. It could get blown up with an early goal here, but I can't pass up a plus 120, Tom, that they'll be scoreless after the first half here. I think we can get, I just went over it. They played 3 times, bro. 2 times it was scoreless between them. The other time it was 1-1. This is a World Cup game. This is going to be tight as it gets, especially early. Neither of these teams are offensive powerhouses, and neither of these teams are going to want to give up that first goal, Tom. I'm going to bet this. I did bet it. First half, 0-0, plus 120.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. Shop for the best lines, because I'm seeing this at 0-0 first half result, at least on FanDuel where I'm checking right now. It's at plus 100. And, plus 100 or plus 120, is that the biggest difference in the world? But no, but like a 20-cent difference, to your point, is if you're betting all these plus money props, or 8 out of the 10, 9 out of the 10 are plus money, having to win one fewer because you're getting a plus 120 price or plus 100, whatever it might be, that's a big difference when it's all said and done. So when we're looking at a 0-0 exact outcome at plus 120, that's really what the market's indicating. A lack of scoring from both teams is going to be played super tight and super close to the vest. Gabe, do you think the weather impacts these players in any way? Do you think that we should be taking that into account? Because I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact overall. I think these teams are going to still come out, operate the way they normally do in a round of 32 knockout, and it's not like we're going to see too much of a change because of a 1-hour delay. I think we're going to be par for the course, essentially.
No, exactly. I don't want to overthink it. We're talking about 2 teams that from the same region, so to speak, they deal with these type of conditions. If anything, it'll slow the ball down a little bit, right? The pitch will be wet. Like it will slowly, the passes just don't skid as fast. The ball does slow down a little bit on a wet pitch. And if anything, though, Tom, it cools things off a little bit, doesn't it? The rain and stuff, because it is hot there. So it does cool things off, even though it is nighttime. So it does cool things off. But no, I don't want to overthink it. And I don't know, it almost just, builds the anxiety of which team can handle the pressure the most right now. Because they're both fired up and ready to get this thing going. Hell, I know I am. In-game live continues, as does countdown to kickoff. We're now 47 minutes and 50 seconds away from the start of Ecuador and Mexico, a game that really people like hardcore fans have been anticipating just due to the intriguing storylines here of this match. Some of these games we have contrasting styles, Tom. These two teams very, very similar in their approach. They both look to win 1-0. We talked about Mexico's dominance in this stadium, 24 straight undefeated in this stadium. And with that being stated, there is pressure. And I brought this up before the tournament started. Mexico have only made the quarterfinals twice in their nation's history, which is pretty wild when you consider they've participated in 17 World Cups. So the two times they made it to the quarterfinals, which is the final 8, it was in Mexico, 1970 and 1986. I tell you what, though, they've got a tough path. Do they get past Ecuador tonight? They're supposed to, yet this isn't going to be easy. Ecuador, one of those real big sleepers coming into this tournament. And the winner of England-Congo awaits, Tom. So this is a tough path for Mexico right now. They got to get through Ecuador first, and then I do believe that England will find a way to get by. It might not be pretty, but I think they'll get by tomorrow against Congo. And then it sets up the winner of this game, guys, plays England. And you want to talk about a heavyweight matchup, Tom, a potential Mexico-England at Azteca Stadium in Mexico City that's next up in the bracket if they both win tonight. That's big-time stuff right there. You want to talk about big ratings? It's going to be like 2 billion people watching that.
Right. So Mexico is, they are the favorite tonight, plus 125, plus 120 thereabout. So a slight favorite when it's all said and done. But, they can't overlook this game, to your point. Failing to advance so many times despite being here so often and so frequently, that is something that I know a lot of people like to bet into when it comes to trends and saying, this team, they can qualify for the round of 32 or the new round of 32, but they can get to the 16, but they can never get to the quarterfinals or whatever, it might be for certain teams. They've looked great thus far. And, beating South Africa and beating Czechia and, and coming through the group stage without allowing a goal is nice, but this is a really tough matchup that they need to be ready for. The England-Congo DR match that they could be awaiting the winner of, presumably England, is interesting to think about. But when it comes to this match, Gabe, I'm looking at the halftime, full-time, direct, halftime, full-time outcome, and I'm looking at draw and then Mexico to win. So halftime, full-time, draw Mexico at plus 410. I think that's what, we should be expecting. They come out and they're going to score late, if anything, and, the 0-0 outcome is still possible and the draw. And that's something we could be potentially betting live.
I don't dislike that at all. Mexico have a history in these matches of scoring late. We've seen a lot of late dramatic goals in this. That's a very interesting way to approach it if you think Mexico are going to win like 1-0 and, they can get that goal. So nice eye there. We talked about first half 0-0 plus 120. Final score, as Tom stated, you shop around. It's why you have to have options. I talk about it. Most American sports, the numbers are going to be the same, but you get to a global sport like this, books are going to be different, right? And let's be real, too. FanDuel and DraftKings are far from, like, sharp soccer books. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're kind of copying and pasting and seeing what the European books are doing. Although FanDuel, of course, powered in England, Ireland to begin with. So, but, like I said, there's going to be different numbers out there, especially if you're betting on USA tomorrow, guys. Like, the American books are going to, I'm saying this, specifically American-owned books. They're really going to gouge the U.S. tomorrow. But looking at the total, I mean, like I said, this is living dangerously, but I like the under. I'm already on the under 2.5 here. Yeah, we're playing scoreless in the first half, but like Tom said, I wouldn't be shocked if Mexico wins this game 1-0. So we're going to go under 1.5, and this is plus money as well. Getting plus 125 for the under 1.5 goals. We do have to lay the price, Tom, for the both teams not to score. This is up. I've seen it as high as minus like 188, 200 earlier. It's been bouncing around. I got it in about an hour ago at minus 172. Both teams to score, no. Talked about the cards. Is it going to be chippy? Yeah. At the same point in time, like, whatever. These guys don't want to get suspended. They got to move on. These cards count. So, and I think the refs are going to let them play. So I'm going to roll the dice. I'm getting plus 117 at under 3.5 cards. Once again, plus money. And Tom, since I don't believe there's going to be a lot of goals here, but I do think there'll be chances, right? I can see a goalpost hit, a crossbar hit. You know what I mean? There's going to be saves and shots on net, etc. I'm going over 5.5 saves. Once again, plus money, plus 100. Total shots, over 21.5, plus 100. And then finally, something that I've left on the table a couple of times in this tournament, and it's bothered me after, but to hit the woodwork, as long as we hit the crossbar goalpost here, Tom, plus 150, we're seeing it pretty much every game. I'll take my chance that somebody hits the iron tonight.
Okay. I also want to add, at least on FanDuel, that I'm seeing the no on both teams to score, including extra time, is minus 148. So it's a little bit different than the minus 175-ish price that you mentioned.
That's coming down. It's coming down right now. It's a good price.
But this includes extra time. So there are two different bets. There's the no for both teams to score, which the normal one does not include extra time. This one
but
does
you know what?
include extra time.
I would rather lay 72 cents than add the 30 minutes to it. Because once we get to extra time, guys, you get to extra time and people are going to be tired. They're playing in the altitude, right? It's heat. It's Mexico. It's going to be late at night. These teams are going to be worn out. That's when the mistake happens, right? Like, like I said, 0-0 after 90 minutes isn't exciting to people. But like I said, that probably doesn't happen. Watch it end up being 2-0 at the half. It's going to explode and boom, boom, goals right off the top. But, we'll see how this plays out. To qualify for the next round. So if you just want to take everything out of the equation, and this is type of game, guys, that as we talk about, even the odds makers aren't going to be shocked if this thing goes to extra time. Mexico to advance right now, minus 178 at FanDuel. Ecuador is plus 144. We're coming up during a break. I'll take a look at a couple other spots and see if we got some better numbers. Mexico, Ecuador to advance. Ecuador plus 144. Mexico minus 178. Countdown to kickoff continues on the SportsGrid television network. I am Gabriel Morency, Tom Vecchio in the house with us. We're now 37 minutes away. So basically, we got a pregame. We were planning on being with you for the first hour, the first half of the game. We can tell you we'll be back in its entirety tomorrow night for USA and Bosnia at 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night is the hype begins to build for that game. But speaking of hype, we've had an absolutely lit golden boot race so far, and the stars have come to play. And right now, Kylian Mbappe is the favorite at plus 100. Messi is plus 145. And I got to believe, in my own personal opinion, that these are going to be the last two standing and play each other in the final game. So they're going to play the most games. Dembele not scoring today, fell off the race here. I mean, there's a massive drop-off here, Tom. So after Mbappe and Messi, you get to Dembele at 18-1, Harry Kane at 20-1, Erling Haaland at 22. And then, people haven't been talking about Vinicius here and Junior. He's at 35. Of course, Norway and Brazil are playing each other, so one of them are eliminating each other. But can you make any gambling argument for any of the others besides Mbappe or Messi due to the odds? Would you roll the dice with anybody?
Can I make an argument for a player? In reality, no. Can I look at the differential between a player's odds and their team futures? What I often like to look at across different sports. This comes down to how many games the players are going to play. And I'm just saying this for the sake of argument. I'm not saying I actually believe this, but the way I would approach this is, let's say theoretically, Gabe, someone had interest in England to win the World Cup at plus 750, right? If that were to be the case, that probably means Harry Kane's having an unbelievable run. And therefore, the 20-1 on Harry Kane is a better number than England at plus 750. So I'm not saying I like Harry Kane or I like England, but I'm saying look for the differential in terms of the odds of what you are expecting, because there's really no reasonable argument that you can make other than Mbappe or Messi. Now, a lot of people are going to want to say...
I've got one, actually. I've got an argument. And I thought, you were on the same path, but I thought you were going to say the player. To me, I think if somebody can knock Argentina off in that side of the bracket, it's Brazil. So I think Brazil have a potential path of going to the final. Sure. And the fact of the matter is, Junior's got 4 goals. Right? So Junior's in the mix right now, and you're getting 35-1 with him right now. He makes it to the final game. I mean, Brazil still have 4 more games right after this. So there's plenty of opportunity for him to score goals along the way, because who else? England's not. I don't think England's beating Argentina personally. England haven't looked great. Maybe they dial it up a notch, right? But to me, I think
Brazil just to even get to Argentina.
That's another thing too. They have to get past Mexico or Ecuador after, right? England.
So I totally agree. I love the Vinny Jr. call, and that number is significantly better than Brazil at 10-1. And I think Brazil 10-1 to win the World Cup is where their odds sit right now. I think that's a very fair number. That's spot on to be. But if they're doing that and they get past Norway and they get past England or Mexico and they get past Argentina, Vinny Jr. is going to be in the mix in all of that. And a 35-1 number right now is crazy, because you'd be knocking off Messi, you'd be knocking off, Harry Kane, and that just leaves him as the second favorite at that point, essentially.
You know what's strange to me, and I want to get the number up here. You know what's wild, Tom? Erling Haaland is 22-1 right now. I'm looking at FanDuel. So he's 22-1.
Yep.
Junior is 33-1, whatever we were just talking about. Yet Brazil are minus 230 favorites in the game. So it's why would the guy that's going to get eliminated? So that's the whole thing. You look at Erling Haaland, I think they're going to lose to Brazil. It could be close. I wouldn't be surprised if it went to extra time, maybe penalty kicks. But I think Brazil are a better, deeper side than Norway are. We saw Norway were lucky today, guys. They got outplayed a lot, right? Let's be real. Norway are really lucky. They got that late gift and a late breakdown. It wasn't really even a breakdown. Let's give credit. It was a beautiful ball. It was a beautiful play by Norway to set Erling Haaland up. But Brazil are dangerous, guys, and, we're going to see upsets along the way at some point. I can't, now that we have the heavyweights, playing each other. This is just fascinating stuff. But, yeah, the Golden Boot odds, to me, guys, if you're looking for that long shot, listen, I told you before the tournament I thought it was going to be Mbappe at 10-1. I said I think France win, they're plus 500, and if France win, Mbappe is going to score a ton of goals. You got plus 500 and 10-1. He's plus 100 right now.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
like,
on
stop
the
jumping.
Turf. He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
In-game live continues. Countdown to kickoff continues as well. We're about 30 minutes away. But, of course, tomorrow night, the USA step onto the pitch. Santa Clara against Bosnia. We brought it up earlier. USA, 13 straight games. They haven't beaten a European side. So they're going to have to slay a dragon tomorrow. But it's a slayable dragon. We saw Bosnia play Canada in the opener in Toronto. And Bosnia scored an early goal. Canada were kind of tight and nervous early. And then Canada, like, it was just ambushed them. And they missed the net and, like, whatever. Canada really could have won the game. And it ended up being a 1-1 draw. I do believe that the USA have the skill and the offensive firepower to get it done. Bosnia are going to be playing on their heels tomorrow. But some interesting numbers up right now. USA stage of elimination. Last 16. Plus 135, quarterfinals plus 250, round of 32, which would be tomorrow, plus 425. Listen, Tom, they're going to get the winner of Belgium-Senegal.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, do you think that they would get past the winner of Belgium or Senegal? It's not a terrible draw, actually. Like Belgium, we see Belgium struggle to put the ball in the net. They're flashy, but we see they have their limitations. Senegal are scrappy, but it is doable for the U.S. But do you think, is that your prediction, that they beat Bosnia and then get past Belgium and or Senegal, or is it end of the line after beating Bosnia?
I could see a world where Belgium beat Senegal. And listen, I think, we talked to Julio before. I think Senegal is a very quality opponent that teams should be worried about. I can see Belgium beating Senegal, and they get to extra time. The USA, would that be presuming that they beat Bosnia, and then they can get past Belgium, but it won't be pretty, nor will it be anything, remotely close to easy. And then coming on the other side, they have to presumably take on Spain if they take care of Austria, and then they would be the favorites over Portugal, albeit not by much. I could see them getting 2 wins, but I don't see anything much more than that. And frankly, when it comes down to it, the odds are always going to be in favor of betting against Team USA, especially as you mentioned, with US books or US based books. A lot of the prices that we're going to be seeing for Team USA are strictly just due to the risk liability that the books have. That you're never going to get a good price on Team USA because the books have to put a price at a certain spot. So when we're looking ahead to tomorrow for USA versus Bosnia, the double chance for Bosnia and draw is plus 210, and frankly, it's shaping up to be one of my favorite looks thus far, because I don't think Team USA on the money line or to advance, I don't think it's going to get any better than it is right now. This time tomorrow or in 23 and a half hours from now, Gabe, when we're coming on the air at 8 p.m., I think this number, instead of minus 270 for the 3-way money line, I think that's going to be closer to 350 just because the books have to move it there. And a plus 210 on Bosnia looks pretty good.
Belgium and Senegal is going to be a fun game. We talked about that earlier. I legitimately believe this one has a high potential of being a draw and going into penalty kicks. But Belgium are dangerous. And as I stated, Belgium had, they were missing Doku. He went back for the birth of his child. He's back. Mm-hmm. Things start to roll for them against New Zealand in Vancouver the other night. I think they would be the end of the line for if it's Belgium. I mean, if you're the U.S., if you're a USA fan, you'd prefer to get Senegal than Belgium in that spot. But at the same point in time, sort of like Canada having it, Morocco's a little different. They nearly got the Netherlands. But if you're the U.S., at some point you're going to have to deal with a real sort of power team. And Belgium, is sort of, kind of manageable. But, Belgium are better than the U.S. are. Let's call it out for what it is, right? So, they're going to be in tough there. In the same way Canada would have been big underdogs against the Netherlands, and they're pretty big underdogs against Morocco as well. So Raul Jimenez and company are on the pitch right now warming up, Tom. And, he's 35 years old. He is a Mexican legend, but he's been criticized for not being able to get it done in the big moments. And group stage is a big moment, but now this is real right now, right? This is real right now. If Mexico is going to score, there's a high probability that it is going to be Jimenez tonight. We haven't talked about goal scorer props this evening. Jimenez is the favorite to score. And then you get into a game in which we don't think there's going to be a lot of goals. So if you're betting, and any time in soccer you're betting a goal scorer, you always got to bet. It's almost like a football. You always got to bet the first touchdown. You got to bet the first goal of the game as well. You look at, in a game like this, Tom, like Raul Jimenez, plus 240 to score a goal, which is a nice price, just for the record. But to score the first goal, plus 600. Enter Valencia, who's the striker for Ecuador. Anytime goal, plus 333. First goal of the game, plus 850. In a game, guys, that there might only be one goal, this, first goal of the game goal scorer correlation is very big, Tom.
It really is. And, on top of that, I would say, 2 things. 2 things I would want to add. One, first goal scorer, first touchdown, whatever, is always decrease the unit size. You can't be putting the same unit size on something that's minus 110 as you are on something that's plus 600. Everyone knows that. But, FanDuel now has the to score or assist, including extra time. So Jimenez is plus 140. Valencia is plus 240. You just need one of them to come through. If you're looking to play one from each side, one from Mexico, one from Ecuador, if you put the same unit on both, you just need one to come through and you're coming out net positive. Score or assist, and it includes extra time.
Valencia will be interesting because they take him out. So Valencia, he won't be able to last until he won't be around in extra time. One guy, the guy that scored the hero the other night was Gonzalo Plata, and he really stepped in. We've been betting on Valencia. We've been watching all these Ecuador games, and Valencia's missed a million opportunities in this tournament. And it's been a problem. That's why they got in the hole that they were. The first game against Ivory Coast, they should have won. Valencia had numerous chances, and he couldn't bury it. and they were up against it, and Gonzalo Plata came in and saved the day the other night. He's plus 550 this evening for an anytime, plus 1,400 for the first. But if you're looking at Mexico, guys, you can kind of neutralize it down to two players. Let's be real. It's either going to be Quinones or it's going to be a Jimenez, bro. If I had to pick one, I would go with Quinones over Jimenez, though.
All right, so some World Cup goal odds and first goal score odds. Gabe, when you're looking at this game, are you looking to have any exact score outcomes? Because I was talking about at the end of the France-Sweden game, the 0-0 would be that one I would go to, plus 410, plus 420. I know you have it up on your card for final score to be 0-0. Anything else that you want to touch on before we're getting a little bit closer? Because we got about 20 minutes before kickoff tonight.
Well, I tell you what, I think I could cash out for a profit already here. Let me see something here, Tom. I think I can, and I'm not going to do it, but all kidding aside, I think I could cash out for a profit because that final score prop that we played, and we talked about it. We talked about this earlier in the day, guys. It was like a very robust, here it is. It was a robust, all right, I got it in a plus 400 for 0-0 final score. And it's coming down. It was like plus 410 or whatever earlier in the day. But sitting right now, Tom, it's fallen to plus 350.
Okay.
So even before kickoff, man, like the number has dropped. That's a significant drop, 50, 60 cents.
It is.
Correct score right now, plus 350. Mexico correct score remains plus 450 right now. Listen, 1-1's not out of the equation. That's why I think even though we have all, we already have a piece of the under 2.5. We are betting the 1.5, but I have the 0-0 score, but I think that, we can't avoid getting a piece of the draw, in my opinion, Tom, because 1-1's not out of the equation, right? Somebody scores and then somebody scores a late goal to send it to extra time.
The one thing I would want to sell you on is winning margin, exact outcome, Mexico to win by exactly one goal, plus 220. Yep. They win the game 1-0.
I don't hate that.
Maybe 2-1 if that's the case.
I don't hate that. I have Ecuador plus 1.5 and some parlays too at the back end too.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the ref's coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done. He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. And look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
All right, we're 17 minutes and 55 seconds away from kickoff right now. And shout out to everyone who's joining us for the journey and the marathon along the way that's been the World Cup on SportsGrid. Shout out to SportsGrid, great coverage, and the network for stepping up and covering as much as we have been. And I see our chat is rocking as it always is. And shout out to our boy Nick Giorgio in Chicago. But, Nick, I see you talking about, I don't even know what league that is. Cubs, Cardinals, never heard of it before. No MLB talk allowed in the chat. I just posted, no MLB allowed. No, you guys can talk about whatever you want. We're locked in right now on this. I know my Dodgers are playing in a minor league park this week, so they're putting big runs up in Sacramento. But countdown to kickoff is on, and Nick did say something in the chat that was interesting to me, and it is scary, Tom, in which he said, man, there's just way too much under money coming in on this game. Like globally, too. This isn't like the Hawaii or Mac game. This is like everybody around the world does not think there's going to be goals in this game, right, tonight. Right, and like I said, Ecuador were impenetrable during their qualification. They played real teams in qualifying, finished in second place. You know, their goals that they've given up, or it's almost like you're shocked when they give up a goal. They gave up a goal in the 90th minute against Ivory Coast. Germany got them early. So it's setting up here, but, man, this first goal of the game tonight's going to be huge. Just massive, Tom. Like, it really is. Like, it could be the only goal of the game, so it's just massive.
Right, and it also depends on when it comes. Because if it comes in the first 20 minutes, it's going to throw everything out of whack with the live lines or where they go. Because right now, Gabe, to your point, the 2.5, under 2.5 is minus 300. Right? And we are pregame. It's minus 300. I warned people. It
was 250 yesterday. I warned people it would hit 300.
So a 1.5 game total. And now, granted, it is just minus 140 to the over just because that's where the books are going to be putting it. But you can't even bet the 3.5 alt lines. You know, I bet some alt 3.5s earlier in the tournament because I was just getting I was getting a minus, 175-ish price on them just based on, I'm like, hey, I'll take that. But 300 is crazy. And so to your point, the first goal, when it happens, I think that is the most important. I think getting through the first half 0-0, if you were backing the under, that is paramount. We have to get to halftime scoreless if we're going to be getting to this 1.5 and staying under that. Because, again, ending 1-0 would be a great outcome. You can get Mexico on the 90-minute line or Ecuador, whatever it is, 1-0 exact outcome, 0-0, or the halftime draw, full-time Mexico at plus 410, which I really do like.
A lot of options on the board right now. A lot of options on the board in this game. And we talked about the goal scorer props, and we've already got a million picks on the board here. And it should be noted, too, we'll go over the goal scorers again, but it should be noted, Tom, no hydration breaks, right, has been announced for this game tonight. And that we've seen hydration breaks have affected the flow of the games. And I almost think the Ecuadorian coach who, I mean, you can call him what you want, Fabio. One of my favorites was the guitarist and Night Ranger is now the coach of Ecuador. Like, there's a lot of good ones and a lot of great gifs and memes out there with the coach. But he was complaining earlier about it in the tournament, about the water break, and it's not football, and it kills the flow of the game, and America, blah, 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 and commercialization. Like, he's an angry dude, this guy. So he was going off, and the Mexican coach, too, said, it was a beautiful night, but, hydration breaks suck. And he was talking about how they suck. So it takes that away from them now because the Ecuador coach likes to bitch about everything. I can see him after, the water break. But it does change the flow, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. The whole water break thing is ridiculous in the first place. And I understand if it's like biting conditions, but we're doing water breaks in domes. And there's no need for it. They're professional athletes. This isn't like, this isn't like Little League soccer, Pop Warner, like 8-year-old soccer kids. Like they need a lunch break and a banana after 10 minutes. Like they're pro players. They can play 45 minutes without a water break. Like they've trained their whole lives for this, right? Not to mention, Tom, like there's Gatorade bottles and water all over the sideline, bro. Like during the game, they're always just picking it up and having some. Like they don't need to stop to do it.
Yeah, I remember when they had the hydration break in the Brazil World Cup, just because it was so humid in some of the jungle, stadiums that they have where they needed it. Now when we're playing in 70, 80 degrees, whatever it is, what are we doing here? And to your point,
the
like
Bay Area,
San
Francisco on a Bay Area night. Come on, what are we doing?
When a player's down and injured, the staff comes out. They have the water bottles. We see them drinking constantly throughout the game. So we got to clean this up. We don't see it in EPL. We don't see La Liga, UCL, whatever it is. We don't see the hydration break in any of those, but we see it here. So, and listen, we saw it in Qatar. We saw it in the Qatar World Cup. And I don't know if people want to make the argument that it's like the desert and it's actually scalding hot there. Granted, some of those are still dome stadiums or half dome stadiums.
And don't forget, Tom, they moved the Qatar into December. The World Cup was actually in December last time, which was unique. For the record, the next World Cup is in Morocco, Spain, and Portugal, which is pretty iconic. It's split between the three. The final is in Spain, but it's the 100th anniversary of the World Cup, 1930. So they're having like centennial games. They're actually opening up the tournament in Uruguay, who won the first ever World Cup. Argentina gets a game, and Paraguay gets a game. So they're going to have like 3 opening games of Paraguay, Argentina, blah, blah, like so whatever. They're really expanding this thing out. And then 2034 is Saudi Arabia, and will be an air-conditioned, like state-of-the-art stadiums there. And then 2038 hasn't been announced yet. But in the next segment, Tom, it'll be our last segment. We'll go over all of our best bets again, but we'll be back for the USA game tomorrow night. But with that being stated, there's 2 games before the USA game tomorrow. What do you think? What are your impressions right now? What are your leans with the England, Congo, Belgium, Senegal? How are you approaching those 2?
It's really tough, just based on some of the odds, at least for the England game. You're not going to look to bet them, straight, team to advance or to home, whatever it is. The money line, 3-way money line, I'm not looking at any of those, but I'm going to be looking at a player to score or assist. Anthony Gordon's plus 100. Jude Bellingham is plus 125. How piece of both those are both at plus money.
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game with England and Congo. England to advance and under is not a bad look.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one to elevate you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
This is the 3rd time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done. He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy, crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
All right, I've said this a million times today. Countdown to kickoff, but I'm not lying now. It's true. It's actually true. The flags are on the pitch. The anthems are being sung. You can feel the drama. I love doing the show, but I can't wait to hear the sounds of Azteca Stadium as well tonight. All right, I got a million picks here to blast off before we ride off into the sunset, but I'll send it to Tom first. Tom, what do you want to leave people with here? What are you betting on? What's your advice?
Mexico 1-0 correct score at plus 410. I'm also playing the correct score 0-0 after 90 minutes. That's at plus 500. Obviously, we just need one of these to come through. Then we're looking very, very good. I'm going to join you with the under on the cards, under 3.5 cards. These teams are going to play tough. They're going to play each other because they know each other well, but we should not be seeing too many cards out there. I do expect Mexico to qualify for the next round at minus 174, but I'm not going to be betting it and wait for maybe some live opportunities once we get going.
Just quickly with the goal scorers, guys. Like I said, between Mexico, I really do. It's going to be Jimenez or Quinones, and I think it's going to be Quinones. He's plus 333, plus 800 first goal. I'm going to get a little piece at these nice prices at plus 240, and Eder Valencia is due. He's due for one. He's due for some good luck here. Plus 3-3 and plus 850. So some late goal scoring market props at these prices, just too nice not to put in. All right, so my picks are going to be first half. It's going to be scoreless in the first half at plus 120. 9 lines have changed, whatever, but these are the plays. First half 0-0 plus 120. Final score of this game, it was plus 450, and when me and Tom were on earlier in the afternoon, it's plus 350. Right now. Under 1.5 goals in the game, plus 125. Both teams to score, no. This market has come down a little bit, actually, at some spots, but we got it in at minus 172. Under 3.5 cards, plus 117. As you see, we got a million plays here. Over 5.5 saves has been added to our portfolio at plus 100. Total shots, and in fact, it's down to 20.5 now, but that's minus money, or you can bet at 21.5 at plus money. To hit the woodwork at plus 150. We're locked and loaded, ready for some late night entertainment, Tom. And, like I said, we got a lot of chips on the table. So this is like an NFL game where pretty much every play, every move of this game is significant, right? Between the shots, the saves, the yellow cards, the totals, the goal scores. We can't really have much more props and plays than this. I'm up to 15 for this game.
And I will say, a lot of people always want to see, games that are high scoring. 4-2 for England versus Croatia comes to mind. It's one of the early games of group stage. But this being 0-0 after 90 could still be one of the best games of the entire tournament. Truly high-level drama between two teams that know each other, that don't like each other. And it's just not just that, it's also the atmosphere, which brings another layer of things. And I think that's what we should be ready for tonight. A truly well-rounded experience that is going to show us the best of high-level talent in something that means so much, especially when one of the teams playing a home game with Mexico. It's all of these, if these were two different teams, and listen, we saw some great games over the past days, Morocco and Netherlands, we saw some great, but to see a true home game for a team, this high level of drama is going to be fantastic.
Look at the emotion of the national anthem now. I gotta get this going. Look at the emotion in the stadium. Listen to this. It's like an opera. It's just next level intensity here, man. You can't top this. Tomorrow it'll be hype in San Francisco and stuff, but they live for this. It's not a show. It's not, I hope we win. This is life and death to people right now in Ecuador and in Mexico, and I can't wait. And I'm always fascinated by the kids that stand here before. They're have no idea the intense moment that they're standing in. They're just a bunch of kids that there's 1.8 billion people watching. There's $800 trillion bet on this game globally, and you got these kids out here holding hands with the players. But that's what just makes this thing so special. So when it's all said and done, Tom, let's hope that we have more winners than losers. That's all we can hope for, really, right? We're not going to be right with every one of these picks, right? But let's just hope. Corner kicks. I'm going over 7.5 corner kicks, Tom. Got to believe there's going to be a lot of pressure and balls kicked out of bounds. Corner kicks, over 7.5.
Right, selling out to block any shot possible. Lack of scoring, and lack of scoring tonight.
Let the drama and the games begin. Better late than never. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the grid. There's going to be coverage all day long. I'll be back for the USA game tomorrow night. Let's rock.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like we said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latin Nation Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy, crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
Home to just a single World Cup qualifier and a handful of professional players. And an unwanted record unlikely to ever be